So this is the last video in Module 2. It's Exercise 3, Exporting and 3D Printing Massing Models. So all of these models, again, are going to be coming from Format. And in this particular exercise, we're looking at a couple of key learning objectives. Exporting STL files from Format for Makerware. Makerware is the software created by MakerBot that's going to be interfacing with a Replicator 2 3D printer. Establishing the correct scale for 3D printing, and creating printer settings in Makerware to send the virtual geometry to a 3D printer. So we have our design variables for the massing, and what we're going to do is export as a local file as a stereolithography or STL file. The STL file is something I can bring directly into Makerware. So this is a really simple process. I've already got them right inside of Makerware, just a couple of clicks. And you'll notice they're slightly larger than the build platform. And there's a conversion factor from Format into Makerware, and that is simply that Format uses a base code of feet and Makerware uses millimeters. So we already are off by quite a bit. And that's why in the Excel spreadsheet that we have, when we put in 1 inch equals 60 feet, we have a scale factor of 42.316 to shrink us all the way down to 1 inch equals 60 feet. So with everything selected, we'll just select our scale tool and type in 42.32. And enter. And it's going to drop the size of all of those down. Then we can simply use the move tool, move them to the center of the platform, and make sure that they're on the platform. You can now see that these are pretty much set and ready to go. We just need to go ahead and make sure that we've established the correct printer settings. So typically I'll use a raft, and I almost always run everything when I'm 3D printing on the lowest quality settings. If I'm doing a finished model for somebody, I might raise that, or if I have a highly detailed object, I might raise that up to standard or fine. But I'm really interested in speed. I'm less interested in, a perfect model without any striation or anything like that. So I always check my print preview. I want to see exactly what all of my layers are doing. I want to make sure that there's not any holes or anything odd that's showing up in the geometry, because if there is, you are going to have that as a printing error. If you can see something weird happening in this view, it's going to print really close to what you're seeing in this view. So having established that everything is looking generally okay, I'll go ahead and click close, and we're ready to export this now as an X3G file. And our process that we use is then we write that X3G file to a flash card, and that flash card goes directly into our Replicator 2. Things to keep in mind as you're building this particular build is about a 2-hour long process. There are times where I have, maybe 30 or 40 buildings or up to 100 buildings that I'm trying to print on site. There are a few things that you can do to get that print to happen even faster. One of the things that takes a while is the infill. This is set to a 10% infill, and that is basically the hexagonal mesh that's going to happen on the inside of each one of those building massing forms. I can set that to 0, except the problem is the roofs aren't going to work very well. But at times, if everything's flat, if I have a flat roof or a single sloping roof, I can flip everything upside down and basically print the roof first and then the walls. My preference is typically to print with a raft. It takes a little bit of extra time, but it has a tendency to level everything out, so that initial pass happens pretty much perfectly every time, as long as that raft goes down well. And the result is I've got a series of different massing forms that I can put directly on the site. So in this video, we learned a couple of key things. We were able to export the massing model design concepts from Format into Makerware. We were able to modify the scale of the massing models to print at 1 inch equals 60 feet. And we were able to create printer settings for 3D printing of the massing models.